the time, your gateway to the world. AFR! American Freedom Radio. Give it to them.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and happy Wednesday. It is May 22, 2013. Hope you all are having a beautiful day. I'm so excited to be here tonight with our special guest, Sidney Ross Singer. He is the author of several groundbreaking books in the way of health, Dress to Kill, which we'll be talking about tonight. In fact, we have a little giveaway set up going on here, so stay tuned for details. That book, of course, talks about the link between breast cancer and bras. He's also authored Get It Up. And no, men, it's not what you're thinking. Get It Out, Get It Off, The Doctor Is Out, and Panic in Paradise. He is a medical anthropologist and the director of the Institute for the Institute for the Study of Culturogenic Disease, which does contain many self-studies within there, so you can check it all out at killerculture.com. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio.
Hi. It looks like they're having some technical difficulties. This is Sidney Ross Singer, anthropologist and director of the Institute for the Study of Culturogenic Disease. Last week I was here with Christie, and there were some issues that we wanted to continue talking about regarding the recent publicity concerning Angelina Jolie and her prophylactic mastectomy. There's been a lot of talk about that, of course. When you have somebody of that stature doing a procedure like that, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions, and like, does this apply to me? Why is she publicizing this? There's a lot of issues, cultural issues that are involved in what she did. It looks like they're trying to get back Christie, but I think they're having a little difficulty. So one of the major issues with Angelina Jolie's surgery is that it relied on genetic testing. And this is a really frightening trend that's going to be happening in this culture. Genetic testing is a way of telling people the earliest possible time in their lives when they may get disease, different types of diseases, for whatever they find these genetic markers. And there's a lot of problems with that because they don't know if you're going to actually get these diseases. These are just predictions, and whenever we can't tell the future. So one of the big problems is when you give a person a prediction, like let's say a person is sick and they ask the doctor, what do I have? How long do I have to live? And then the doctor is supposed to give these people a prognosis and some idea of whether they're going to get better or not, and if they're not, how long they have. And there's a lot of ethical problems with that kind of thing because telling a person something negative can create that in them, and it's like the placebo effect in reverse, which is actually called the nocebo effect, I found out. But people's expectations are extremely important. Our mind has so much control over our health, and if you tell a person that you're going to be sick and die in a few months, their minds, if they believe that person, can actually make that happen. That's probably how voodoo works, giving a person some ideas in their head that negative things are going to happen. I think we might have Christie back. That?
I am. That was crazy. We had a nice, quick little power outage, and
oh boy.
All right. So sorry about that, but I'm sure you know what you're doing here, Sid.
Well, it was rather distracting, but anyway.
Yeah.
Let me catch you up to what we're talking about. Yeah, we went right into Angelina Jolie, and we're talking about genetic testing.
Excellent. I posted that article you wrote today as well. Good.
Nobody seems to be taking that angle, which is clearly what this is. It's getting people genetically tested is really a eugenics program, and it's not being declared one, but I think that's what this is all about. I think this is my guess, okay? I don't know anything behind the scenes. I'm just reading the culture. And what I think is Angelina Jolie is either knowingly or unknowingly a figurehead for a poster child now for genetic testing and preventative surgery. And to me, preventative surgery is a contradiction in terms. It's an oxymoron because, I mean, you shouldn't be preventing things by removing them early on and treating them. Preventing the problem means you never have to treat it. It means you don't get sick. And actually, the better approach would be wellness, trying to take care of yourself and not only worrying about preventing disease, just being healthy and doing what feels right for your body is really the right mental attitude. But I was saying before how the mental attitude created by testing that then gives people a mark from birth, and even in utero they're going to be doing testing. They do that already for several genetic diseases. But the new thing that they're testing, Christie, with her particular test for the BRCA1 and 2 mutations, is that these mutations are in a gene that affects general response to cancer and your body's ability to fight it. They don't really know exactly where it fits in and what it does, but it seems to be affecting that system. So it's a general type of a thing. And a lot of different cancers. It's like saying that these people are just weaker and have a higher incidence of, they can't fight off disease as well as other people. And they found it's because of a mutation in a gene. Now, if you tell these people that they have this and it's fatalistic, I mean, you're going to get cancer. That's basically what people will conclude when you give them a test.
You know, it's interesting, though, in one of the reports that they put out there, they said that BRCA gene that they want us to be scared of was only found in 10% of people who did develop breast cancer.
Oh, yeah. The genetic factor is small.
So that's only found in 10% of the people that have cancer. I mean, come on. And
but you know what? Well, that's another story, which is a very disturbing trend that's going on. I think it's been going on a long time, but it's being called something now that's a little more honest. You know, there's philanthropy, which is giving for causes and trying to, you give to charities who are looking for cures for disease and so forth. Well, now there are investors that are working with philanthropy companies, and it's like it's called venture philanthropy, and you can Google venture philanthropy. And what's happening is companies are being paid, drug companies, like recently it was in the news, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation was funding research with like $57 million, I think it was, or some large amount of money. They funded a drug company to develop a drug to treat the cystic fibrosis. It's a very expensive drug. When they come up with these drug treatments, a year of drugs for this, which is a genetic condition, so these people have to take it like all the time, would be $400,000 a year for their drugs for the year. These companies are charging, these are like designer drugs for very small populations of the public with these mutations, but they're getting the funding because there's probably people, well, there's two reasons. Maybe some of the funders have these genetic diseases and they might be rich people, and that's where the money goes. But the other thing is when they get these drugs, the nonprofit that fundraises and pays for it gets a piece of the action. So they literally are partners in the profit. So what we're getting is profit-nonprofit partnerships. And that means that all these health foundations that are promoting their disease and awareness of their disease, they are taking funding and investing it in drug companies to come up with real expensive treatments, and then they'll benefit from it and get part of the profits. So then they tell people, oh, you need these treatments, because they have a pure conflict of interest. And they're the ones that, of course, everyone goes to for expertise. And that's why you wouldn't be a surprise seeing the connections which all exist between the cancer industry players and the mammography people and the pharmacy people. And, it's like a clique of treatment-oriented profiteers on disease that are controlling these nonprofits, working with them to get expensive treatments and early detection. And the genetics is a perfect example of that. It's $4,000 a test for this BRCA mutation. The government is going to try to take it over and make it cheaper for people. Not take it over, but I mean make it available and take it on. And through Obamacare, so that they want everyone screened. Now, once you're screened, and this is happening, right? This is what's happening right now. And the Supreme Court's deciding on the patenting of genes, of human genes. That is part of the whole financial motivation behind this. And they have to get the genes. They have to make a way of detecting them and make these expensive tests. I mean, 1 million people taking this is $4 billion. And then once you get this series of, you have to have a lot of them for all the diseases that you can screen for, and they're going to get more. And then it'll be on your record, okay? So we know that you have genetically a predisposition to certain conditions. Now, we don't know if you're necessarily going to get them or not, because they're talking about higher risk for diseases, which is a statistical thing. And you're not a statistic, you're an individual. So whether this gene is going to manifest with a problem in you or not is really reliant on how you live, what your lifestyle is.
Exactly.
You know, your genes are not the full answer. They're like the cards you're dealt in a game of cards, like bridge. But if you finesse your hand, you can live really well and play a really good hand, even if you dealt bad cards.
Yeah.
Conversely, you can have a good hand and play it really lousy and lose the game. So it's a lot about what you do with your genetics and how it manifests, right? Definitely. So telling people that it's in your genes is it's going to make it so that they're going to do early intervention as possible. They'll have like genetic surgeries and methods, and most likely, I think what we're going to ultimately go to, probably within 20 years, they'll be cloning people, and they're working on that right now. And people say what?
Oh, definitely. I believe they are doing it now.
and what it'll be is just like right now, they've conditioned women to thinking that childbirth is a disease condition, a sickness condition, where you need to go to the hospital. They'll be telling people that childbearing is so risky because you're going to pass on all your lousy genes to your kid, and your kid's going to suffer and they'll almost give you a readout on what your kid's going to have and die from. I mean, that's the way they're going to make people think.
And we don't even know if any of that's true. And the sad fact of the matter is, when you're told, Sydney, you have this horrible gene, you are destined to die of cancer, and you believe that, say you hear that as a young child, well, guess what? I mean, we can give ourselves any disease we want to.
And it's more like they're giving us these diseases that they want to, because they have expensive treatments for it. I mean, this culture is a sitting duck for all of these medical people. And when you really think about what goes into medicine and the kind of people that go into medicine and why they go into it and the power that the field has, it attracts people who want power and money. It doesn't attract compassionate people, a few of them, and they end up quitting like me. And they can't fit into that system very well. I mean, there are exceptions, but the field of medicine, by and large, when you have license to kill, and you have this knowledge that is held in medical institutions at very high cost to teach you, and it leaves out late people who can't get in there, so it's like exclusive information held in a monopoly by the American Medical Association and its contacts, and basically the pharmaceutical industry. And it's like this scam that they get people at your most vulnerable, weakest moments. And at the end of your life, when you're having children, when you're scared. And the people who get attracted to that, there are some really caring people that get attracted to that, but they're not in a system that really serves people, so they end up getting very disillusioned.
And they don't give anyone any alternatives either. It's like, oh, this is the only way, take these drugs, get radiated, we'll chop and slash and burn. But they never, ever, ever mention a healthful lifestyle.
No, because they have no control over their medical doctors. Their job, they're not lifestyle doctors. Their job is to give you medicine. and they have to find out, what do I give you for this? I mean, that's how a doctor is thinking. What do I give him for this? Not, how do we make, what are you doing that's making, tell me about your life. I mean, is the doctor even going to take the time for that? They don't even take the time to touch you. They don't even want to look at you for more than 2 minutes. That's the nurse's job, and they relegate that to all the other staff. They're like, they come in, they sign, and they leave. And, they are like the manager, and they don't necessarily want to sit down and analyze your whole life and go into your lifestyles and your idiosyncrasies and your denials and everything like a psychologist might have to do. And then you put on top of that the fact that your doctor is living in the same culture, doing the same stupid things that you're doing, because they're not thinking about it either.
Yeah, that would be too much work, but I'm so sorry, Sydney. Hold that right there. It is that time. We will be right back. Stay tuned. SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifilan brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifilan. There's nothing else like Modifilan. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifilan banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules. No rules. No taboo topics. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
But, hey, that's what happens sometimes. So welcome back, Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. And if you would like to join us for the text chat, that's over at SoulJourneysRadio.com. Any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. Our special guest tonight, Sydney Ross Singer. We are talking about our killer culture, and we're kind of getting into how our culture promotes and rewards disease, some of the benefits of being quote-unquote sick, genetics, eugenics, and real healing, as well as the placebo effect, are some of the topics tonight. And I might have mentioned before I disappeared in the last segment that we were going to have a giveaway here tonight, and we're not telling anyone what to do. I respect everybody's individual choices, but, I think Sydney has definitely demonstrated beautifully the dangers of wearing constricting clothing. It's not just bras, as he's mentioned before, socks, neckties, jeans, elastics, anything that is leaving red marks on your skin. But, I'm a woman. And I know a lot of people that, were being diagnosed with breast cancer and, rushed into treatment, and of course I use that word loosely, getting their boobs chopped off, and then of course the Angelina Jolie thing, and I just, we thought it would be cool to try to encourage other women who have, maybe been listening to it and looking into it and considering trying it. If you would like to join one of his self-studies on going bra-free for 30 days and then talk about it, maybe make a little YouTube webcam, hi, my name is Christie. I tried to go bra-free for 30 days, and this is what I liked, this is what I didn't like, this is how it felt, whatever. Just tell us your experiences, and he'll send you a free autographed copy of his book, Dress to Kill, which, again, you can find all of his work and articles over at killerculture.com. But, Sydney, how do you want to do that? Do you want women to call in here if they want to join the self-study, or email you after the show, or How do we do that?
Well, maybe we can do it on your Facebook page. Maybe you should say something about your Free the Boobies and what your experiences are with that site so far.
Oh, that's
Facebook.
right. Yeah, a couple days ago, we started Free the Boobies Facebook group. So, yeah, you can just go to Facebook and type in Free the Boobies, and we've been posting a lot of information where, you know, just hopefully just to make it kind of a resource for women to talk about it, and men as well. I love the articles you wrote about men and the breast defense against cancer. But, yeah, in a couple days, we're already up to 162, so I'm super excited about that. So come on and join us on Facebook. I've posted the information there, and you have 10 copies to give away. So the first 10 women, I guess we'll just say from now, so whether it's a phone call, an email, or what, just leave it open even if it continues into the archives?
Well, I don't know. Maybe some people can make suggestions, but my feeling is that we really need to let people know about Free the Boobies, because, you know, the benefit of this is that by trying bra freedom for these women, just getting rid of the constriction for a month, actually, what should you expect, okay? Let's talk about that. You know, when you take what we've experienced now with thousands and thousands of women who have participated in this, over 90% of them are overwhelmed by how much better they feel, okay? And that's usually, and you can verify this because you did this, Christie.
Yes.
It's usually, how soon was it that you began to feel a difference? And, well, first let me ask you this. When you started, and this is what people should think about when they respond to this and do their YouTube. I'd like them to do a video afterwards for the YouTube, for not necessarily the YouTube. I guess you'd have. How would you do that to participate?
YouTube is easy, I guess. It's, you know, anyone who has like a webcam. YouTube has it set up that it detects your webcam. I mean, that's how I've done the bulk of my videos. I just went to YouTube, and there was a button that said upload here. So I clicked on it, and then it gives you options. If you want to, it'll, you know, upload from your hard drive or upload from webcam, and you click on that, and it automatically just grabs your webcam and turns it on. So
Wow.
Thankfully, you don't have to be a genius to do it. You just hit a couple buttons, and boom, you're there.
Well, you know, what we'd like to know, like when you're doing it, is like, what did you feel like in the beginning? Like before you started the self-study that you did, Christie, what did your breasts feel? Would you have said that your bra was so uncomfortable that it was causing
Totally.
problems? You would have said that.
I always, ever since I can remember, had back problems, and I was told it was because of the size of my breasts, and I just needed a better bra. So I have no idea how much money I spent at Victoria's Secret or Wonder Bra or all the big names to get that better bra, but I was feeling constricted. I mean, my body knew, I knew I was having trouble taking deep breaths, and they were just so weak. They were way saggier than they are now. I'm just being honest. And you know, you asked how I felt when I first started, just like you mentioned in your article, droop phobia. I feared that, you know, my breasts would end up hanging down to my toes. And but at the same time, I was doing it for health, not for looks. But I was really, really surprised to find out, and not from the study. I'm glad those studies have come out, but I noticed on my own that my breasts were becoming round again, more fuller. They were lifting on their own. And another thing that I experienced immediately is zero menstrual pain. Zero. No breast tenderness, not even stomach pain, nothing, just completely gone. It was amazing what happened, and I think I have failed to mention on previous shows. I remember one of my videos, I finally remembered, but I had a cyst on my left breast close to my armpit, which is now gone. So there were lots of changes, and yeah, like I said, I was only doing it because, you know, when I had found you and your work, your research, I mean, I just didn't want to have cancer, that's all. It was 100% for health, but there have been cosmetic or aesthetic improvements since then. So, woohoo! Oh yeah, and no more stretch marks.
Yeah, it's all. How soon did that happen? Within a couple of days, a couple of weeks? When did you start seeing a difference?
Marks. Oh, when did I see a difference?
All of the things that you experienced. Then when did you start seeing a difference? So if a woman was to start it today, how long do you think it might take her to feel improved breast health?
The breathing and the back pain almost immediately or within a few days, which consistently got better. The cyst, I don't think was really completely gone. That probably took maybe 8 months or so. But I was also doing breast massage, and I make my own skin creams, all natural, good, delicious stuff. And the stretch marks, I'd say that took about a year. But the menstrual pain, by my first cycle, there was none. No breast tenderness, no swelling, no sensitivities. It was like if somebody got near me and accidentally brushed my breast, during that week, I just wanted to punch him in the face. Because it was so sensitive. It hurt. But all of that, the breathing, the back pain, and the menstrual pain, bloating, sensitivity, immediately. Definitely by the first cycle.
Interesting. Well, that's what we've been hearing from over 90% of the women who do this.
Wow.
And it's like an amazing, it's so obvious though when you step back from it, you're wearing something tight around your body every day for hours upon hours, and some women never even take it off except to shower. And that's happening more and more in young girls, because there's this myth that the bra industry has perpetuated that says bras will prevent droop. And that's why in which it doesn't. It causes droop. This recent study in France, this guy was for 15 years has been measuring breasts of women and in association with athletics and having women go bra-free and see the changes in their breasts. And they've lifted and toned, and he's proven it, and his study has been published. And did that shock the bra-wearing world, though, I'll tell you. That came out, and people were like, oh, no. The whole bra phenomenon, that's the nature of a culturogenic disease. And I'm really coining the term culturogenic. And my institute is pioneering this. As an applied medical anthropologist, we are really creating a new genre in medicine and a new way of thinking about things. And because let's just take breast cancer for a minute and the breasts. If you look at how the breasts are treated by women, it gives you a completely different understanding of what's going on than if you think of the breast in some abstract medical sense, like you might see in some sort of a schematic of the breast with the cut open with the fat and everything. That's how doctors think about this stuff. And then when the first breast they actually will see will be on a cadaver. And in medical school, the first thing they had with students who had female cadavers, the first thing they were told to do is cut off a breast. I'm serious. This is the shocking part of medical school and training, to try to desensitize you to the gore and of it all, and so you get your first human you work on is dead, and it's pickled, and you have to start dismantling it and mutilating it and cutting, so it's all part of a process. But anyway, that's how they think of breasts. They don't think of them, and then they'll use tissue culture, where they'll take tumor cell lines and grow them and do research on that for cancer, or they'll do it on animals. And, rats, and they have cell lines, mouse cell lines, these lineages that have breast tumors, and they'll use those as models for human breast cancer. So the bulk of our breast cancer research is going into studying cancer cells in tissue culture and breasts of animals. Very little into actual human breasts. And if they do study that, they're not even sensitive to what women are doing to their breasts. And, for example, if you're in a culture where there is breastfeeding and there's no, and you're top free, like in a warm culture, like in Africa, let's say, and the kids are constantly breastfeeding and the breasts are being used, like from a girl, by the time she hits puberty, she gets pregnant, and she's got babies for the next 20 years, right? If she lives that long. So So you have the breasts are really used. Now that's one culture, and they very rarely, by the way, ever get breast cancer. I mean, they don't have breast disease. They use their breasts, and they're used as nature intended, and their breasts are fine. If they're used a lot, they may actually be stretched out a bit, and that's why they use these images of National Geographic women. But some of these women have very firm breasts. But if you nurse a baby for 20 years, you're going to have stretched out breasts. That's what it's for. Then you look at a culture that has women encase their breasts in a training bra, as soon as they hit puberty and their little breasts start to bud. And it could be at 9 years of age. 10, early puberty sometimes for these kids, and that's a risk factor for breast cancer because that's when you start compressing the breasts and constricting them. The earlier you do it, I mean, you know how little an 8-year-old, 9, 10-year-old kid is. They're tiny. Their bodies are still so malleable. And you start putting a band around their breasts aren't going to develop correctly, and because this is soft tissue, has to develop into the pressure of a bra. So, you have to think about a culture that does that, and then doesn't encourage breastfeeding and encourages, for aesthetic reasons, the artificial shape on the breasts to push them up and in more than nature intended, to make them bigger usually than nature intended, and at a strange round shape. So it's like a caricature, and it's turned the breasts into like a fashion accessory. And then you could stuff them and make them smaller and take out the breast tissue. And when Angelina Jolie, if she would have just gotten another breast implant.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Yo, what's up? Check this out. The voice of the revolution. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Sidney Ross Singer. We are talking about our killer culture tonight. His website is killerculture.com. Lots of just incredibly enlightening articles about numerous things. The medical establishment. Can you really trust your article? Can you really trust your doctor? As well as you can sign up for his Sick Times newsletter. You can also get all the archive on his site, and then different articles about other health conditions, diverticulitis, flatulence, gas pains, kidney stones, bladder infections, thyroid problems, basically anything you would like to know about. It is already there on his site, as well as his books. And just a reminder, Dress to Kill, he'll be sending out a signed copy free. First 10 women who do the 30-day minimum bra-free self-study, and just load up a video and talk about your experiences and just be honest. We're not pushing anything on anyone. If it's not for you, it's not for you. That's okay. I understand it. But we definitely would like to promote this issue. And just to bring your attention, I did get freetheboobies.weebly.com, and we're working on the other sites. And then we just set up the Facebook page. So you can go to facebook.com and go to Free the Boobies, and you'll find us there with other women talking about their experiences, as well as different articles coming out, studies, etc. I posted several videos of my testimonials as well, because I don't know. As we talked about last segment, Sydney, I did it initially strictly for health reasons. I had no idea that it was going to change all these other aspects of my life. And I tell you what, I can't go back for anything.
Have you tried? Have you tried? Because most women say, the other day I just had it. I had this dress that just required a bra. I mean, that's all part of it, right? And I put the bra on, and oh my God, that's the thing. They can't wear it again. I was asking you in the beginning, did you know how bad your bra was to you before you tried this? Some women think, oh, my bra, I don't have a problem. I'm comfortable. That's the weird thing. They'll say, I'm comfortable. And then when they try this, they won't be able to go back. I mean, they'll say, oh, my God, how can I have worn that thing?
I tried it once. To answer your question, I was invited to a golf tournament, and I'm looking in my closet because I've only been wearing like silk wraps or sari skirts and tying them around, and oh man, let's see if I have like a nice fancy dress I could wear to this little golf tournament benefit thing and kind of fit in. And of course, exactly what you said, I'm like, oh man, these dresses require a bra. So I went in my drawers, and, I still have some bras in there, and I put one on, and that was like the hardest 4 hours of this past year, to just try to show up in that attire. And I'm just thinking, I am never going to do this again. I felt like I had to stick up my butt. I went back to the breathing problems, and not only just my posture. My posture is horrible wearing a bra. It's like pulls my shoulders forward, and anyways, it was really uncomfortable.
When you think about it, it's such a stupid device to have to put something around your breasts and to hold them up. And the idea that large-breasted women need a bra for support, that's so sales. I mean, it's obvious a sales pitch. They said the same thing for corsets. You needed a corset to support your abdomen, and in both cases it makes the body weak because you have this external support instead of your internal ligaments and muscles supporting your body. So you get flabby, and that happens. But these industries just keep people brainwashed and conditioned, and just it's constant advertising, and you can see how it's connected to the fashion industry, and not just the lingerie, but the way the dresses are made, the entire body image of what we think women should look like. And if you have big breasts, by the way, and you never wore a bra, chances are you have no breast problems. I have met so many women like that. They're large-breasted, and their breasts will just reach a point on their body which is proper for its when you stand up with your proper posture, your breasts will reach a comfortable spot. The idea that the breasts, as they pull, it pulls your face down and all the skin. I mean, some of these websites that are selling bras will tell women that the weight of your breasts is basically pulling your entire face down and it's stretching you all out. And that if you don't wear this bra as early in life as possible, then you're going to get stretch marks, and you're going to be droopy, and it's going to damage the breast. And they've even, listen to how they lie. I mean, my whole thing is about how it blocks the lymphatics because of constriction. So they say without a bra, you will have bad lymphatics. The bra is needed to lift the breast up so that there's better lymphatic flow. I mean, that's how they turn things around. I mean, that's a complete lie. They turn things around for their purposes and try to confuse the public. And, because there's so much relying on people wearing bras in this culture. It is such a part of the body image of women, from Barbie dolls on in their minds. That's what you have to have a certain shape, and you can only achieve that shape with certain clothing. But if you think about how, it's not like we're stupider today than in the past. I think really? we've always been dumb. If it was 200 years ago, you wouldn't be going out without a corset and a wig. Neither would I. I'd have a wig, and I might even be wearing a corset. I mean, it was essential, and that went on for centuries. And they even gave them to children and men. And corsets were the thing. You couldn't imagine being in public without one or without your wig. And, imagine how hot it must have been for these people walking around with wigs because they had to look a certain way, and there must have been more heat exhaustion, heat stroke, maybe even more, strokes because of the overheating. I don't know if those were culturogenic diseases at the time, but that's how those things happen. We get these stupid cultural things that are based on somebody's sales idea, and many people are just going to follow the herd, and once they're led in a direction, they'll want it, and they'll copy it, and it's more important for them to belong and to have that badge of belonging and look like everybody else and smell like everybody else and eat what they're eating and do what they're doing and copy everybody else. That's more important than their own sense of comfort and health and identity. They don't have a good self-identity. Most people were trained from early on. I mean, they put us in school to train us to conform and to follow the rules and to do what you're told. And they're constantly brainwashing us. And we're trained to be dependent on the experts, especially for things like medicine and in law. I mean, I think that's another big thing. Law is so important. I mean, trying to negotiate, what your rights are, and that's an important thing. And know how to negotiate the legal system if you need to. That's a big thing. When getting sick is bad. Getting sued is bad. Dealing with any of these issues in your life with accounting. How many people know how to take care of their own bookkeeping, how to do their own investments? We don't learn the fundamental, how to repair your own car and basic household items. We live out here on a farm, and we are pretty self-sufficient in a lot of ways, but of course we rely on the culture for technology, and we have tractors, and we use the internet, wireless, and we have solar systems. But we've learned that you have to take care of yourself, or you're going to be having repairmen. How do you trust them? How do you trust that they're honest, especially if you don't know what they're talking about? It's a black box to you, an inverter that converts your solar power into something you can plug into. If your inverter goes bad, or even just to hook up your solar system, do you rely on other people to do it? I mean, these are the questions we've had to ask ourselves living in this lifestyle. Or do you learn how to take care of yourself? If you rely on other people, you're going to get screwed. I mean, and even if they're honest, they might not be as competent as they should be. You just assume that they know what they're talking about, but how do you really know until they do it? And even if they are competent, they can still mess up. So you're completely dependent on them. And the same thing goes with the most important thing is your health. And yet we're completely dependent on medical people to tell us everything. I mean, even to have our immune systems active, we think we need to get a vaccine as soon as the baby is born, type of thing. I mean, intervention is what it's all about, because that's what they do for a living. And the more intervention they have in your life, the more money they make. So naturally, as an industry that treats people and tells them what to do with their health, their goal is to make you as dependent as possible and to need them as much as possible. Yeah. And to get the government to pay for it, or insurance companies to pay for it if possible. The first insurance company was developed by the American Medical Association back in the 30s. It's a prepayment plan. It's like you're going to pay a doctor. You're going to go to the doctor if you're prepaying. And it's like setting you up to use doctors, as opposed to make believe you had no insurance and you're on your own on an island where if anything goes wrong, you got to deal with it. If that's the case, then you better be really careful and vigilant and think about what you're doing. Think about what you're eating. Think about how you're taking care of your, what risks are you taking?
How dependent are you? Really, just ask yourself that. Sydney, I'm so sorry. Hold that right there. We're getting cut off again. It's break time already. So hang on, everyone. We will be back at the top of the second hour here with Sydney Ross Singer on SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules, no rules, no taboo topics, no taboo topics, no fear of doom, no fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio, American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back. Top of the second hour here tonight with Sydney Ross Singer here on SoulJourneysRadio.com. And another thing I meant to bring up when the power went out in the first segment was I'm very pleased to announce Sydney is going to be added to the lineup of our fabulous regular guests. He'll be joining us here once a month, and we'll just, continue talking about the killer culture and what we can do about it. I mean, it's one thing to know the dangers that are out there, but it's totally another thing to know what you can do to protect yourself and help yourself, as you brought up in the last segment, Sydney, with your lifestyle and other people's. When you ask yourself that question, how dependent am I really? It's kind of scary. It's like, wow, I need people to do everything for me almost.
Totally, especially the most. That is true. I was raised in New York City, and we raised our son out here in Hawaii, homeschooled, and raised him on the farm. And he, his life and education was completely practical, and he knows how to do whatever it takes to run a farm now. I mean, from repairing machinery to training horses to milking goats. I mean, the whole thing. And I think back on what did I learn? All of my childhood, I learned how to go to school. I mean, what do you learn in New York City? I learned how to ride the subway.
Be afraid of strangers. Don't look up.
And I learned a lot of television shows, and just... What do you do in an apartment in New York City? I mean, it's not like you can go out and be with nature you're in and this is how most people live in the country. Yes. They're urbanites. And I know what that's like, and I really always yearned to get back to nature. And we raised our son that way. We even raised him barefoot as an experiment. And his feet are amazing. He has muscle through his feet. Like, if you ever shake hands with a construction worker that their hands are meaty and strong, well, his feet are like that. He can walk on lava. I mean, not hot lava, but, he can walk on a lava plain barefoot, no problem. He does his horse work barefoot. He also doesn't use shoes on horses. He makes sure they're barefoot, too. And it's an amazing thing what we do to our culture, and our culture does to our feet. I mean, we mentioned the breasts and the constriction and changing the shape. Whenever you change the shape of your body, you change the way it functions, because this is something medicine completely never even thought about. Yeah. They understand circulation, obviously, but they never think about what are we doing to the body that can be interfering with things like circulation. So if you're wearing a bra and it's cutting off the circulation in your breasts so that the blood gets there, because that's pressure. But once the tissue is filled with fluid from the bloodstream, the lymph fluid that surrounds the cells, that's the medium through which the cells get their nutrients and deliver their waste, and then the tissue flush out through the lymphatics. You constrict that, and the body is going to obviously, the backup of fluid is going to cause tissue degeneration and all these problems. Well, you do that to any part of the body, and you're going to have stagnation of tissue and concentration of toxins in this fluid that's stagnant. So if you're taking medication, and let's say some of this medication, like for cancer, actually causes cancer as a side effect. They're carcinogenic. Yeah. So you're taking this cancer medicine, it's coursing throughout your body, including your breasts, because it's delivered by the bloodstream. But because the breasts are constricted in their drainage and are like sluggish in being able to clear substances out of the tissue, these drugs that you're taking are concentrating in the breast tissue as opposed to the rest of the body. So if you were a toxicologist studying and all that and how poisons are, get removed, think about, are they cutting off the circulation by something they're wearing? They don't ask that question.
Yeah.
And yet we're all wearing something. And it could be extremely constrictive, like underwear is. Both bras and briefs, anything that leaves red marks when you take it off. And you ever see men, these guys they're really overweight, but they have their bodies in blue jeans that are way too small for them. So they look like an ice cream cone with a big scoop on the top. So that their legs and waist are these tiny things because they were wearing jeans that actually like mold the body into the shape of the jean. And if you ever see these guys, at the beach or something, you'll see they have a really tiny waist and this huge abdomen right on top of it that doesn't even seem consistent. They've actually body shaped with those genes and body shapers.
Amazing. I've always wondered why that happens because it just looks so abnormal,
Some cultures wrap heads to make cone-shaped heads. They actually wrap the head to give it a cone shape. As African, of course, that's where you get all these weird cultural things. But that was, you actually, the way you sleep affects head shape. With back or on your side affects the shape of your head and of your body. All of these things that we do affect us and our physiology.
Definitely.
And we don't ever learn that, but we're impressed with it at an early age, literally with all these cultural impositions, and then we're kept ignorant about the impact, and you have to pay for all of these things, and it's just part of the economy. And then the medical people who are doing the same things aren't sensitive to these issues. They never even thought about these. And if you did tell them about it, they would think to themselves, well, what can I do about that? I'm just a doctor. If you come to me with a problem, like you have a pain, I'll give you something to kill the pain. So that's what happens when you go to a medical doctor, and if you go to a chiropractor, they'll give you an adjustment, and hopefully that's the cause, and that might help. You go to a nutritionist, they'll say, oh, you have cramps because you're eating the wrong thing. All of these specialists have their own little bias, and they usually don't deal with anybody else. They're very focused, and we have our whole cultural setup is for experts and specialties, which fragments it all. And in medicine, that means that the guys that study space medicine that know about head elevation, and when you sleep, you get pressure in your head. If your head's too low, that pressure can cause problems like migraines and glaucoma and sleep apnea and all of this stuff, which we researched, and that's in my book, Get It Up. If you raise the bed and get the bed up a little bit and your head is elevated, the head of the bed, they already know for space medicine that helps with brain circulation and heart circulation. It actually is optimal when the head of the bed is elevated. About 20 to 30 degrees, they say, is optimal. I think like a 10 to 15 degree head of bed elevation is very comfortable, and it improves your sleep and your brain function and your sinus congestion, all of that. I mean, we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But I was getting at, the guys from NASA know this, the space medicine, but they don't talk to regular medicine guys.
Of course.
So a regular doctor doesn't know anything about this. And if you go to him for a treatment for your sleep apnea, he's not going to necessarily say just raise your bed, because that's not a medical intervention. That's a lifestyle intervention. And he can tell you, though, I'll put this CPAP mask down your throat to help you breathe, or I'll do surgery on your throat to open it up so you can breathe better. And that's the kind of stuff that the doctor will do. But, that's why you don't want to go to them right away, because they're like kind of extreme. You want to, but whoever you go to is going to be biased and not have the full answer. So that's why we have a crisis in our culture. We have a planned dependence and a planned ignorance for the public, so that there are industries and professions that make money on providing that information and services. But that makes those industries invested in your ignorance, because you need to be, you can't do it yourself. They don't want you to do it yourself. And I think...
Uh-oh. Are we getting cut out here? Oh, no, maybe that's just me. Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I cut out for a few seconds.
Okay, well, I was saying I was thinking a lot of the people here are do-it-yourselfers.
Yes.
Like just taking herbal medicine is a do-it-yourself thing because, you're supposed to, hopefully you can get your own herbs. If you don't have to buy them, of course, there's dependency again. If you can use herbs in your local environment, that's good.
Absolutely. I mean, isn't it amazing that we're exposed to all this other information, but we don't even know the weeds growing in our lawn, which are, some of the most powerful medicines, if not the most powerful medicines.
And those are being taken away from us. Here in Hawaii, I've been fighting for wild food. Like, decades ago, like 200 years ago, they introduced, since white man has been here, they've been introducing food from other parts of the world, like guava, strawberry guava, that now grow wild. And because they've grown wild, they are, and when you bulldoze an area, they're like the first weeds that come in. And the government is now calling them weeds and is wanting to eradicate them as an invasive species. And that's happening across the country. They're getting rid of even food crops, food plants, food animals, whatever people eat that is in the wild that's been introduced for food purposes in the past when people relied on themselves more. They're being taken out. And I think the answer is because everything is meant to become a commodity. I mean, the food that you get, if you have to buy it, especially if it's genetically modified so that it's patented and you're really dependent on a company for the seed and everything. That's like the ultimate of dependence. And that's what I think the culture is working towards. They don't want you to have free food. They don't want you to have that you can pick out of the wild. They don't want the water, they don't want you to buy bottled water, at least treated water. Soon the air, you'll be buying bottled air, which they do in some places. Like in China, I'm sure they're selling that big time. In places like Beijing where the air is so polluted. How are people going to cope in these environments? And now with the genetic testing, they're going to want you to, everything in life is being made a commodity. Even having children is going to be made a big industry. Because that's the ultimate of genetic testing. I wanted to talk more about that because I think I've been, Christie, I'm sure you know this. Sometimes in your life you have a confluence of issues that come up, like, a theme of the week in your life.
Yes.
And I've had that this recently, since I did your radio show last week, and the Angelina Jolie thing happening, because, we haven't thought about eugenics a lot and in the culture and talked about it, because it's a bad word. It's equated with, like, the Nazis but it was in the United States that the eugenics movement was the strongest in the 1930s and 40s. And
yes. It was even a college course, right?
Oh, I'm sure there would have been. I have books on eugenics. They would tell people, be careful who you marry and be aware of the lineage and try to, anytime you take, tests for genetic tests for certain diseases that are inheritable diseases, like sickle cell anemia or Tay-Sachs. All of these are genetic mutations that cause those. And now they're finding certain mutations they think are associated with higher risk, which is like a more nebulous thing, not a specific disease like you can't make this enzyme, but it's like you have just a higher risk because you're weaker. And that kind of thing is going to, it's obvious if you connect the dots where this is all going. They're going to want women to basically prophylactically get rid of your, if you get rid of your breasts, which is symbolically, that it's such a dehumanizing thing to be encouraging women to substitute breast tissue with silicone implants. And that's okay. I think what they're doing is they're medicalizing the, I don't really think it's okay. I was being sarcastic. They're medicalizing breast implants. So if you want to go for implants, you can now say it's prophylactic mastectomy to prevent breast cancer. It's opening up that whole thing. Like, let's prevent disease if you have a higher incidence of risk of this by doing early surgeries, early interventions, which is good for medicine. And ultimately, I think, and the next thing Jolie is going in for, which they recommend people with the BRCA mutations, is she's going in for
ovaries removed.
Her ovaries removed. Now, that is sterilization. Now, it'll lower her estrogen, and for estrogen-dependent tumors, that might help, but other drugs are used to block that, and, there are other ways you can go about it. Actually, if you have a higher risk of something, I would think that...
Okay,
you're living are you there, Christie?
Yeah, it seems like you cut out for maybe 20 seconds or so.
Oh, gee.
So yeah, you were talking about the sterilization unless you have estrogen-dependent tumors, and then you cut out.
Oh, well, I'm saying that's probably the justification for removing the ovaries, but there are other the real thing, what it really does is it also sterilizes people, and they advise people with these genes to think about having babies if you pass these on. So really, as a culture, we need to look at this issue. It's a legitimate issue. If there are genes in society that are weaker than others, we're not all clones. And some people have weaker constitution relative to other people. And if we compare, and if we're going to start looking at everybody's DNA, which is obviously the trend, I mean, there's the Genome Project, it's been done. I mean, they're looking at it, that this is what's happening. Then we're going to be categorizing people and telling them, giving them these mind trips that you are going to get these diseases, which is unethical. And it really is going to create a self-fulfilling prophecy for those diseases. And we're going to make people afraid to even have children, just like they're afraid to have a natural childbirth at home. They feel like, oh my God, I better be at the hospital just in case. Yeah. They're going to be afraid to have children because they're going to pass on all their junky DNA. And it's going to become such an issue that'll create a nice market for people adopting or having planned, who's going to have their baby, or at the time, which is probably not in the far future, there may even be cloned kids. I don't see why that wouldn't happen. GMO kids.
I believe that might be going on right now. But
it's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American.
It's practically narcotics.
Freedom.
Oh, yes. I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
Right, welcome back, and thanks for joining us here tonight with Sydney Ross Singer of KillerCulture.com. We are talking about all sorts of things going on here, specifically breast cancer and bras, and basically our culturogenic disease, as he explained. And, Sydney, something came up last night that was a really interesting perspective. The topic came up about breast health and cancer prevention, and we were told here that I guess the recommendations to avoid breast cancer was breast and ovary removal, birth control pills, which, I thought actually contributed to cancer and heart disease and stroke and such, or staying pregnant all the time. Oh, and GMO soy to protect your breasts from cancer. Yeah, I know it might sound like a joke. It's not a joke. So I just kind of wanted to hear your perspective. Are any of those effective at preventing breast cancer, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, when I think about what would prevent a disease, I think what you need to just step back and ask, are humans needing to do those things to be healthy? And those don't even sound intuitively correct. I mean, why would you need to take soy products to be healthy? Why would you need
soy too? It just
yeah. And what and removing your ovaries and breasts is that's an extreme measure. And by the way, this mutation only refers to like a very small percentage of women who get breast cancer.
Yeah.
So why would you? And estrogen is not what's evil here. I think medicine likes to think of, they look at the symptoms and what's going on biochemically. And everything is defined in biochemical terms because their treatments are biochemical. They give you drugs. So everything that happens, they break down into the biochemical realm. And then they might find, certain chemicals associated with the process, and, well, how can we interfere with that? Or maybe taking this in your diet might boost that. That's how these people think. And I think it's all wrong. It's not the right way to think about the way the body should be. I think we have to stop thinking about preventing disease and start thinking instead about being healthy. And I know I'm not
health. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's like, what do you want to do to your breasts to be healthy? Obviously, you wouldn't want to constrict them, and and if you have been, and you had a lifetime so far of constriction of your breasts, a really good thing to do would be breast massage, because if you flush out your breast tissue, and you'll find that the cysts, as soon as you get rid of the bra, the cyst, which is a collection of fluid that's prevented from escaping. I mean, it's a fluid backup problem, and they form cysts. That's why women get needle aspirations, where they stick a needle into the breast tissue, into the cyst, and suck out the fluid. And some women go for that every few months, for years. Mm-hmm. They get stuck with these needles. I mean, it's incredible. And then they got rid of the bra, and their cysts are gone.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. But over time, these cysts get fibrous and like a scar tissue. So what you need to do is just massage that and loosen up the tissue, and over time, it could heal. And the body, depending on how much you've insulted it, does want to be healthy. And our philosophy is, health is sort of what you, assuming you're not a genetically mutated person that has particular really bad genes. That's a small percentage of the population. If you're a normal, healthy person, your body wants to heal, and it knows how to do it, and it knows how to stay healthy. But we keep on getting in the way with the things we do to it. So that's why I think the first thing you should do when you have a problem is ask yourself, what am I doing to that part of my body? So let's say your feet hurt. I think
cut them off.
Yeah, cut them off, right? Take pain relievers. That's what you need. I would think the first thing you would think is, gee, it might be these new shoes I've been wearing. Or, oh yeah, I've been standing on my feet all day. I mean, you'll know, if you think about it, what you did to your feet. And that's taking control over your life a lot more. And it's something a doctor won't even be able to easily do. They won't even think about it that way. They will give you like a pain reliever or, what's physically wrong with your foot, and they'll treat the symptoms of what they're seeing. And sometimes those symptoms can actually be your body trying to deal with the problem, and doctors will prevent that from happening. So that's why you don't want to run to a doctor the first thing.
So that probably wasn't the best advice ever, is to cut your boobs off, take birth control pills, and eat GMO soy.
No, I don't think that's going to work. But it'll probably make the soy companies happy and the medical industry happy. And it's certainly going to be the kind of advice that's going to be given more because of our culture. I'm telling you, this is my prediction, okay? I think just by connecting the dots, we're going to hear more and more about genetics. That's where the money is. Whether it's genetically modified foods, genetically modified animals, or genetically modified people.
people.
We're in the world of genetics, and it's coming. That's where the money is. That's where the government's going to be pushing. And I wonder to what degree the new healthcare program under Obamacare is going to be encouraging this, because they're going to be encouraging and paying for these BRCA mutation tests, these genetic tests that are like $4,000 each. The government is going to start footing the bill for that, encouraging tests. So everybody is going to be encouraged to get your genetic profile. And they'll say that'll help for early detection. To them, that's the earliest that they can get into you, is like before you even have it, looking at your genes and predicting the future. And that is unethical. That's telling you you're going to get a disease, and it's setting people up for fear, and it only serves their interest. I think if everybody should just be living healthfully and being conscious of what they do. And if you do happen to have something in your family, and you don't need a geneticist to tell you that, if you have something in your family that makes you have a problem that you know your parents have and your grandparents have had it, then that means you just need to live more carefully and think about it. Be very thoughtful and improve your health and make yourself stronger. So if I had the BRCA gene, I would be making sure my body was doing everything it can to keep healthy. Yes. And that doesn't mean cutting off the part that might go bad later. I mean, my God, talk about talk about catastrophizing. And with
my
the
engine in my car might go bad after a few years, you know. Maybe I'll just cut it out now. Oh wait, we're not. I'm not Christie Flintstone. That won't work.
Well, you know, we're all going to die. I mean, it's built into our whole makeup. I mean,
we should all just drink the Kool-Aid right now, then.
Exactly. I mean, why wait? So I think the whole thing is really a scam, and I think people are being going to be manipulated more and more into the genetic side, which actually is an important conversation the public needs to make.
Yeah.
If we keep on, it started off with retarded people in the 30s that people were willing to, the government sterilized these people. And, you know, it's like, why have them reproduce? And everybody's thinking, oh, well, you know, they're retarded people. That makes sense. You wouldn't necessarily want them to make more retarded people. So, and then now we're starting to judge people and judge, you know, that's a slippery slope. And that's what ends up happening. I mean, even the Nazis, when they were doing eugenics, they start off with the weak people, the retarded people. Then they started going into other people that they considered to be inappropriate or somehow not made right, which got them into gypsies, Jews, homosexuals, and then they, you know, I think they were also doing it to blacks, you know, to Africans. There was like anybody who didn't belong.
People on welfare even.
Well, hey, it might run in the family. And that's the thing. When you do these genetic things, if it runs in the family, is it because of culture or is it because of genetics? And the genetics is such a black box that how do you know whether a geneticist is telling you the truth? I mean, it's totally something that you are disempowered from judging. We, the public, are being put into a position of such ignorance by a medical profession that's taking on, you know, if it's in your genes, you got to go to a geneticist to read them for you, like reading your tea leaves.
And we just trust what they say and we don't even know what they're saying at all, really. And we need them to interpret it for us. I mean,
and what about false positives? What about false positives? And then when they say,
with mammograms and everything else,
oh my God, if they said, well, it looks like you might be, and if it was a false positive, and they told somebody that their kid looks like he's going to have this problem when he grows up, and it was false, or it's something that's not guaranteed, what are you doing to that kid? I mean, that's a good example. So the kid is they do a gene, they say, okay, we found a gene, a mutation that seems to be related to attention deficit disorder, okay? Now, ADHD is already controversial. It's like a made-up thing, and it's a syndrome, so it's related to so much stuff, and there's so much scam going on with ADHD. So but somebody says we found a gene that seems associated with increased autism. And it may be in a small, very small percentage of people who are called autistic that they have that gene. But because it's such a big diagnosis, like with breast cancer,
how do we know we all don't have that gene? We don't know. We all haven't been tested, and even if we have, we still don't know what they're saying is true.
Exactly. And in fact, what they're doing now people in these genetic tests is they're getting their data. People are the guinea pigs, and they're going to build up their database, and then in 10 years they'll say, oh, we used to think this about this mutation, but now we found, just like they did with cholesterol. I mean, they used to say cholesterol is bad for you. It's just bad. Then a decade later, oh, well, there's good cholesterol and there's bad cholesterol. You know, and then they start hedging, and then, well, yeah, we never proved that it's causing disease to have high cholesterol, but we still don't like it. We have a drug to get lowered, so we're going to tell you it's bad. And, I mean, that's what's going on. So they reverse themselves all the time. Medicine, in medical school, Christie, they tell you the first day of med school that 90% of what we're going to learn in medical school is going to be considered wrong in 10 years. How about that for starting your medical education? That medicine is advancing so fast. That's the positive spin.
So by the time you're done with your 8, 10, 12-year program, everything has already changed.
Exactly, especially now with technological changes. So, you know, they put a spin and say, oh, that shows how fast medicine is advancing. I reverse that and say that shows how stupid they are, that they're constantly realizing we're dumb. They're constantly
correcting themselves. How many lies they're trying to promote. Sydney, did you know that experts agree that if you start off a sentence saying experts agree that 99% are going to believe whatever you say after that? Oh, goodness.
Well, you know,
okay, I have a question. You know, kind of related, but this is for men. Someone brought up in the chat, Christie, is the same theory of breasts being harmed by bras be applied to men and our testicles being stuffed into tighty-whities. I wonder if studies would show lower sperm counts and testicular cancer can be attributed to wearing tight underwear.
Yes, and there's the low sperm counts for sure. The underwear with cancer, they used to be yes, and then somebody said no. So they're trying to keep that a controversy. Remember, there's a big underwear industry. Mm-hmm. And don't underestimate the power of the underwear industry. I mean, with bras, with the Intimate Apparel Council, I mean, bras are tens of billions of dollars a year of sales, and that's just one accessory. And then, you know, you tie that into all the other things, and it's huge. And
only half the population wears bras. Almost everyone wears underwear.
Yeah, and it's known, and heating the testicles are outside the body and are used to being cold, cooler than the rest of the body. And if you hold them close, the sperm doesn't like being heated. In fact, some men, for birth control, I'm not sure how effective. The internet says it is, but I've never studied it myself. But if you take a hot bath and heat your testicles, it'll inactivate your sperm as well. And they don't like to be heated. So some guys think that that's a way for birth control. You have to use a condom, just take a hot bath, and your sperm will be knocked out. I wouldn't do that, and condoms are good for STDs as well as pregnancy prevention. But that's one thing. So heating sperm is not good. So tight underwear has been definitely shown to reduce sperm count. And anything that's tight. The breasts, of course, is going to be the same. They get very, very warm, very hot. And wearing them, putting a bra on them, some people have theorized that heating of the breast tissue also increases the cancer risk. So it goes hand in hand with the constriction. I mean, you have your organs that are kept from circulating properly are getting inflamed, and they just get sore, tender, hot, swollen, and if you just don't relieve that congestion over time, they're just going to get sick. I mean, there's just no way about it. What
should men wear to prevent that? I mean, are boxers a better choice if they're not too tight?
Well, underwear is a weird thing. I mean, why are we wearing it? What's the purpose?
Let it fly.
Well, if you have a zipper that's going to irritate you, you want to have something like silk shorts boxers might protect the clothing and you from clothing like zippers. Because some guys, there have been cases of people, guys getting their penis caught in a zipper and having to get surgery, and that's not a good way to end it healing. So, so that's a danger. Zippers are a danger, and underwear can protect you from that. But other than that, unless you have a problem with continence and leakage of some sort, there really isn't a reason for underwear, and it can be very comfortable without it, and very liberating not having the elastic band of the underwear constantly digging into your waist. I wore underwear 24/7 in my life until as a child. I mean, I just never, I wonder how many men do that. You just never take it off. And ridges, just like women with their bras. And it's taken years of recovery from the elastic, but elastic is not a good thing.
Yeah, not your friend, everyone. So, yep, free them all. Take it.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom, American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
And thanks again for joining us here tonight with Sidney Ross Singer of KillerCulture.com. Don't forget to check out his great articles as well as his books, Dress to Kill, which here's a reminder again, if you would like to do a 30-day self-study and going bra-free, contact Sidney or I, and he will send you a signed copy of his book after your 30 days and do a little video, I don't know, YouTube video or something talking about your experiences. But I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about genetics, but a question popped up in the chat, which is very appropriate, I think, and it reads, can a workplace require bras and underwear? Just wondering if women have to deal with that issue. And I just want to say, one of the women in the Free the Boobies Facebook group yesterday brought that up. She said she works in a chain store where it's actually written in their dress code that they must wear bras. Mm-hmm. Is that crazy? I mean, is that like...
It's oppressive.
Appropriate to...
It's
you
legal.
Must wear this? Wow.
I've looked it up, and there have been lawsuits about this, about being forced to wear certain things for the dress code. And they can require a dress code and make you wear whatever they want, I guess within reason. But is the bra within reason? And if the bra is harming you, you see, they don't know the bra is causing disease. That'll change the equation. But unfortunately...
But it's a pharmacy that she works at, by the way. A chain pharmacy. So I thought that was kind of appropriate. I'm like,
yeah, right.
If they know it causes harm, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute, never mind, because they want you to buy their drugs.
Right, exactly. Well, neckties can cause harm, too. Neckties, if they're tight, they restrict the circulation from the brain, increasing brain pressure and eye pressure, and can cause glaucoma and headaches and, a bunch of other stuff. So, yet you'd imagine men would still wear ties, you just don't have to wear it so tight. So presumably, women can wear a bra at work if it's not tight. They probably wouldn't see it if it didn't change your breast shapes. You might as well just wear a camisole. And I think most women, if they just don't worry about it and wear a camisole to cover the nipples maybe so there's not a nipple protruding issue, even though that shouldn't matter either. But realistically, if you just want to be like low-key about it, just try a camisole, a vest. I mean, there's lots of ways to de-accentuate your breasts, and most of the time, nobody even notices. I think it's in women's heads that they have the issue that they're being watched. They're just so self-conscious, especially the first day that they get rid of their bra. They are like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. Everybody knows. It's like you're naked in public. But in actuality, nobody notices. Nobody cares. And in this day and age, having no bra is nothing. I mean, my God.
Yeah. Well, hey, you could be completely topless in New York now. Woohoo!
And women tattoo their breasts, some of them. They pierce their nipples. I mean, and the implants, which is, really weird when you think about it, stuffing silicone in breasts to make them a different shape, which is a lifetime commitment, by the way. You got to treat those implants over time. They leak, they shift, they need to be replaced. So you're committing women to lifetime surgery requirements and infection risks and everything. I mean, all that's insane. And we do that to breasts. So I don't get the puritanical, if I don't wear a bra, I'm a loose woman. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you're wearing a push-up bra, trying to accentuate your breasts and create cleavage, that's more of a sexual issue than just having nothing like nature made you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it's all conditioning. This is all just a cultural trip that women have been given. And if you want to not wear a bra at work, you should be able to just don't wear one. Don't worry about it. Let them come to you.
Let's say you work in a place like that. I mean, is your manager going to go and, make you take off your shirt so they can see? And, I mean, if so, how close can they legally get to you before it could be considered sexual harassment?
Exactly. I mean, but there was a case where a woman was very attractive, and she was told that she couldn't wear what she was wearing because it was distracting everybody.
Oh,
I mean, how's that? And I think it was upheld that the business was right to ask her to dress differently, because you can't and isn't that weird? I mean, we have these workplace rules that are total cultural things, and what needs to be put into the equation, if you go without a bra, and your boss says, because let's say you're big-breasted and it's kind of obvious you're not wearing a bra, okay? You're wearing a sweater, and like you would be at home, you're comfortable, and you're able to do your job a lot better. That's one thing to tell the boss, I can work a lot better when I'm not in pain, and when I'm able to move and breathe, and I'm not having menstrual pain, and in my breasts where I can't even lift arms, now I'm more comfortable and I'm healthy. If the employer knew that having you wear a bra was actually hurting you, they would probably say, okay, don't worry about it. I mean, as long as it's not like a big special case issue where there's something that's going on. If it's a normal situation where you're just, you have your job, no one notices, no one's really paying attention, it's no big deal. I think women should try it. Wait for their employer to say something, and then share with the employer how much more comfortable and healthy you feel, and then point out that there's a link between breast cancer and bras, and breast cysts and pain and bras, and that you feel this is essential for your personal health. Then it's another story. It's not like, you're wearing dirty, you have to wear clean shoes, or we want to have a certain look at the office to make it look professional. This is part of the professional look. We have to start educating employers that the professional look is killing people. The tight shoes, the tight neckties, the tight bras, the sitting at the desk all day long. All of these are hurting people. Doing jobs you don't like is hurting people. We live in a culture where we work at jobs. People often work at jobs for the money, not for the pleasure.
Yeah.
The money is, it's not like, I love doing what I do. And most people are like, I can't wait until the weekends, and I hate my job. That's stressful, especially when you have all the financial requirements that our culture gives. You have to work or you're going to be in the streets. And so that is a stressor. That affects your health. That's a culturogenic problem. Yeah. All of these are related. I'm trying to stress the nature of all of these cultural triggers for disease. And when getting back to the genetics issue, that to me is the ultimate of disempowering people by saying you're made that way. There's nothing you can really do except let us intervene early, drug you early, or do surgery early. And instead people, because you set people up with a certain mindset, and health is really a mindset. It's being positive about life, positive about yourself, loving yourself, taking care of your body, Most people take better care of their car than of themselves. And, learning about yourself, getting in touch with your feelings, these are essential. And I think the whole trend of the culture now, especially with the genetic testing, is to go completely away from that and take it away from your control over your own life and your health. But that's what you need to get in touch with. The answer is really within your own body. You remove these cultural obstacles to health, and your body starts to miraculously heal.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And with the genetics things, I agree with you as well. It is very disempowering to, this is in your genes, so this is just the way it is. But if that was true, we all would have the same dis-ease that our parents have, right? And we don't. And some of us do, and I attribute that to, like, if you grow up drinking a 12-pack of soda every day and, a gallon of pasteurized milk and, Jack in the Box and McDonald's, and your parents, go figure, were diagnosed with heart disease and diabetes, well, you carry on that tradition and eat the same things. Well, yeah, you're going to be diagnosed with the same things, but not because it's in your genes. It's because that was your lifestyle.
That's exactly right.
That. Yeah.
You're exactly right. And in fact, that is what plagues a lot of research. When they see things that run in the family, it's very hard to differentiate between the genetic part and the lifestyle.
Because habits run in the family.
Exactly.
And when you look at my family, for example, totally sick, overweight, just typical standard American diet type thing. I don't have any of those things, but we eat a lot different. We live a lot different. Everything about our lives are totally different. And they've even done studies on families, even twins, and separated the twins. And, in one family or one of the twins grows up where that disease is promoted. And, oh, you poor little sick child, you're going to die of this, etc. And, of course, they come up with whatever disease they were told they were going to have, yet the other twin is perfectly healthy, raised in a different environment.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
You're listening to the future of talk. American Freedom Radio. This is American Freedom Radio.